using her Zoom account so that we could launch this and record the meeting and have everybody join in. But thank you again. Looking forward to the presentation. I will be here in the background monitoring and sort of stepping out of Dr. Pacheco's way so that she can present everything to us. But thank you again for everyone for signing up and for joining on time.
Okay, can everybody see the presentation already?
We can.
Yes, it's very clear.
Excellent.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, clear.
Okay, thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Sorry, we're having little technical difficulties here, but I would like to welcome you, and I'm very happy to talk to you about this subject. It's one of my favorites. I really want to stay true to the philosophy of the school, where constructivism is such an integral part of how we educate. So remember that basically we're going to be learning from each other today. So it's really important that you share your experiences so that we all be part of this learning process. So with that, I reiterate my good morning to you guys, and really very thankful that you have taken your Saturday morning and at least devote some time for us. And there you see me now. That's what I look like. So. So our goals and objectives for today are to share with you this elusive concept of wellness. I call it elusive because it's one of these constructs that we're always trying to measure, but have difficulty a lot of time to trying to figure out how good or how far can we measure something like wellness, because wellness is truly a process rather than an end goal. And what we're trying to do for you today, it's by the end of this workshop, you will be able to understand the importance of health and wellness, the difference between the definitions of both of them. Some people use it interchangeably, and it's not interchangeable concept. And also that what are the dimensions of wellness and the interaction of each other to achieve the end goal, and the use of an internal locus of control for wellness, which is not a definition that a lot of people are familiar with, but that we usually use all the time without knowing that it's called an internal locus of control. So first of all, as I mentioned before, health and wellness have been used interchangeably. However, they have two very distinct meanings. And what do you think is the biggest difference between health and wellness? Does anybody want to take a guess? Wake up, everybody. Take a little guess. Come on. All answers are good. There is no incorrect answer. So go ahead.
Health has to deal with how you perform your body in everyday fashion, okay? So that you can perform at peak conditions all the time. That is health. Wellness goes a little bit beyond that. If you are healthy, you can go and have a well-being. So it's like you use essential oils to improve your wellness, not your health and stuff like that. So
very good. Excellent. What is your background, Alfredo?
I'm a mechanical engineer.
Yes. That is wonderful. I'm glad to see that you were the first person that made a guess about this, volunteer the information, and you're not even part of the health professions. How's that? So it tells you how ingrained these concepts are with us, regardless of what profession or what we have studied in school. Okay. So I'm very, very happy for your contribution. Anybody else want to take a stab at this?
Yes, I just wanted to say, this is Juanita Rodriguez from Puerto Rico.
Hola.
I just wanted to say that I think health has to do with the physiological functioning of organs, of how your body is working, if it's at the optimal what it's supposed to be. And then wellness is the overall feeling that you're feeling good, that it's more like the emotional. That's how I see it. Just feeling well.
Well, excellent. Anybody else? Well, let me tell you that both of you are correct. Okay, so
Good morning, Dr. Pacheco.
yes.
This
good
is
morning.
this is Dr. Suarez.
Dr. Suarez, my former boss. How are you?
Good morning. I am well, thank you. I just
Good to
want
hear your voice. It's good to hear your voice. Go ahead.
thank you. I just wanted to add to the last person that spoke
Mhm.
that she kind of described one is physical and one is overall,
Yeah.
and add to the physical is age. Age. You know what was when we were 20. When we were 20 years old, our body functions were one way, and then when we're 40, it changes. So that's a big issue with health. Now, the same with wellness. When we were 20, we were content physically and emotionally with few things. As we grow older or gain more experience, that wellness changes. So it's like a fluid issue, both physical and overall. Thank you.
Well, excellent, Dr. Suarez. I still see you're trying to teach us all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's go through a generalized concept of what health versus wellness is. And as it says right there on the slide, health is not simply the lack of suffering from an illness or disease, but pertains to the state of being in good mental, physical, and social health. And the issue here is that we sometimes tend to think of health in the context of physiological wellness, which is how our body is. And it really encompasses that mental and that social aspect, which is extremely important and has a direct connection and a direct correlation of how physically we feel. Okay. And then wellness is defined as the active pursuit of optimal health, therefore describing more of a mindset and lifestyle approach. Now, so I see most of the people here that are present are bilingual by nature and definition and schooling. So can anybody kind of share what they think wellness is in Spanish? What's the word that describes wellness in Spanish?
Bienestar.
Very good, excellent, yes. So when we think in English, we think one way, and when we think in Spanish, we think another way. So always try to, for those of us that are bilingual, remember what the both concepts are, but sometimes we do approach it from a different perspective when we're trying to do a cultural aspect to it, okay? So the end goal of wellness is health, making wellness the active process of reaching the best possible health. Meaning, health is your end goal, and wellness is all the activities that we do in order to reach that end goal. Okay, for example, a person's health can be determined by the lifestyle they choose. In this way, the two concepts form an overall holistic understanding of what it means to be healthy. And the word holistic is very important when we're talking about health and wellness, because that's the tendency that the literature right now is presenting. It's a holistic perspective that you cannot achieve health or you cannot pursue wellness through the activities unless you focus it from a holistic perspective, which means from the whole perspective. So I'm going to share with you the approved definition of health that is endorsed by the World Health Organization. And it is defined as a person's overall optimal health, physical and social condition, in addition to not suffering from disease and or illness. So, as we've already covered, it emphasizes health as not only being free of disease of illness, but rather a holistic and overall optimal well-being. So the reason why I choose the World Health Organization, because it is a recognized body when it comes to defining health issues. So you know you can always answer correctly or present correctly when we use the definition of the World Health Organization to take off on any issues of wellness. Now, health includes all aspects of the following, and that I mentioned that briefly in one of the first slides. Mental health has to do with a person's emotional and psychological well-being. That's why when some of you were already defining what health was from the emotional and psychological perspective, you are correct, but it's only one aspect of the definition of health. Then there's physical health, which is the condition of a person's physiological well-being. And then there's the social health, which most people don't think about when they're talking about health. It is the ability of a person to form meaningful and deep interpersonal relationships. And this is extremely crucial when it comes to dealing with health, wellness and health, because basically the concept is that we need each other, okay? That men and women basically, we are needing each other in order to survive in the society that we're in. So if we want to have optimal health and use activities to promote that optimal health, we really should be doing these inclusive of other people, okay? Now, when we talk about health, we cannot not mention the risk factors. And these are the factors that are associated with health that are likely, if we continue to use them or practice them, are going to develop into certain illnesses. And those are the ones that we want to avoid at all costs. For example, a person might be at a higher degree of heart disease if they have genes for it, which means you have inherited from your family a predisposition for it. So your health is going to rely on the interplay of what you have inherited, which is your genes, and the behaviors and actions that you do throughout your life. And those behaviors and actions is what correlates to what wellness is. So this active role in maintaining optimal health is what the WHO defines as wellness. So let's take a look at some of the risk factors from the perspective that these are different actions or conditions or activities that increase a person's chances for illness or injury. Can you name a few? Okay. These are not complicated. These are things that we encounter daily. So think about it. What do you think?
Smoking. Stress.
Excellent. Smoking is exact. What else?
Bacon.
I'm
Stress.
sorry. What did you say? I didn't get that.
Eating bacon.
I was actually going to mention unhealthy eating habits, lack
Oh,
of exercise.
yes, very good. Good to see you.
Alcohol. Alcohol.
Alcohol, very good. See, you're already experts in this, okay? Anybody else have any examples?
Stress.
Stress, yes, very good. Excellent. Okay, let's see what the literature states are the most common risk factors. So on the left, you're going to see this column that says A, B, C, D, and E. And those are examples of what risk factors are. For example, smoking that you already mentioned, alcohol, an unbalanced diet. The only one that was not mentioned was unprotected sex. And mountain climbing is kind of like an example that is used frequently when we're talking about dangerous behaviors that we can do not on a daily basis, but that some people do in order for fun or to get the stimulus or whatever. Okay.
Risk.
So, exactly. So on the right-hand column right here, you're going to be seeing, okay, what are some of the correlations that occur or that are correlated with these risk factors. So I want to ask you, oops, got the wrong way. Wait a minute. So, for example, when you're talking about developing liver damage, kidney and heart diseases, what risk factors do we associate with that?
Alcohol.
Very
Alcohol.
good. Excellent. Excellent. When we're talking about a sexually transmitted disease, which risk factor are we talking about?
Unprotected sex.
sex.
Good. About developing lung cancer?
Smoking.
Yes. About broken bones to swollen brains?
Mountain climbing.
Very good. And how about diabetes and obesity?
Balanced diet.
Yes. Oh, we have an expert here. Very good. Now let's go here, the next one. So wellness, we go back to our definition, according to the WHO, is the active pursuit of optimal health and having an optimistic view on living. Importantly, one cannot be healthy without pursuing wellness, since the overall end of wellness is overall what? What's the word we're looking for here? The overall end goal of wellness is overall
Health.
excellent. Yes, very good. Somebody's paying attention here.
Thank
So
you.
wellness focuses on actions and activities conducive to achieve that end goal of health. Okay. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I want you, if you don't remember anything after this presentation, is that your end goal is health, and the wellness is the activities that you pursue to achieve that end goal. Okay, clear on that?
Yeah, the wellness is the process and the health is the end goal.
Yes, very good. So just like there are many different risk factors, there are also different dimensions to wellness, okay? And these are the 8 major dimensions of wellness, which means these all correspond to activities that are going to impact each and every one of those facets of wellness. Okay. And the 8 ones are your physical dimension, your emotional dimension, your environmental dimension, your social dimension, your spiritual dimension, your intellectual dimension, and the other 2 are very closely related, which is your occupational wellness and your financial wellness. Okay, so when you think of wellness, remember there are 8 factors that are going to be heavily impacted when we're talking about wellness activities. And you can decide to work on all of them, or you can decide to work on just on one of them. Whichever one is the area that you identify is the most important area for you in order to achieve your end goal, which is your optimal health. So can you think of examples of activities conducive to physical wellness? Because we're going to go right now, this next part of the presentation, we're going to go through each and every one of the dimensions with a fairly general explanation of what each and every one of them is. So when we start with the physical, because that's the most commonsensical of all, and the one that actually can give you quick impact right away. So can you think of activities conducive to physical wellness?
Meditation.
Meditation. Oh, well, meditation is excellent. And
Walking.
walking, that's very good. What
You
else?
got a good diet, good
Okay, go ahead. What else?
Riding a bike.
Riding a
exercise.
bike. That's very good. Good.
Physical activity.
Excellent. Okay, good.
Reading to avoid Alzheimer.
Very good.
Going to your preventive medicine, going to your checkup every year.
Oh, very good.
I like to dance.
Ah, that's an excellent one. Yes, people don't think of dancing as a way of exercise, but it is probably the most fun physical exercise you can do. And it burns calories a lot. So the physical dimension means that we do things, activities like exercising, eating well, sleeping well, practicing safe sex, drinking enough water, and do not do dangerous activities like jumping off buildings, okay? So physical fitness increases what? Increases your physical wellness. By being physically fit and well, you're much better able to take care of yourself and others, especially in those times of needs and crisis. You're also better able to prevent illness and disease when you're in a good physical condition. Okay. So now we go to the emotional dimension. So emotional dimension means, well, go ahead. What do you think it means? It's right there on the board for you. What does being confident mean? What does that mean for you, being confident?
Have a self-esteem, trust in yourself,
Aha, very
and
good.
things like that.
Have a self-confidence.
Very good. What else? When we talk about self-esteem and confident, how does that translate in your brain? What exactly do you mean by that?
Self-esteem and trust.
Emotionally stable.
Ah, very good. Excellent. Okay. So what we want to strive with this particular dimension, that is that a person who is emotionally healthy can cope with feelings and has the ability to properly cope with them. Okay, we live in a world and an environment which is continuously bombarding us with information, with situations in which we have to react. So if we have a good identification and we realize what our emotions are, then we can better deal with these stressful situations that we're continuously being presented with. Because one thing is those stressful situations that we create with our own actions, and those that we continuously have to deal with that we did not create, that others created, but that we have to deal with in our daily life. Okay. So emotional well-being is extremely important if we're going to reach the end health, which is optimal health. Now, there's the environmental dimension, and most people don't think of that when it comes to practicing wellness actions. Okay, so what does this mean? That we also have to take care of the environment in which we live in, okay, because it's very important for us, if we're going to be successful in having optimal health, that we live in an environment that's healthy and secure for us. And one of the things that we can do in order to improve the environment around us is, for example, you practice recycling, okay? And you reduce the consumption of products that are detrimental to the environment, like not using plastic bags, being careful when you're, for example, when you're in the beaches, that you don't throw out your garbage inside the oceans, that you actually, put it in containers so that you are not contributing to
Dangerous.
exactly.
Dangerous.
Exactly. So we have a responsibility, individual responsibility, to make sure that we are contributing to good, clean resources like water and air. Okay. So most people don't think of that as we having control over that. But if each person does a little bit, then the impact is on the whole. Okay. So, and the last sentence is living in a healthy environment contributes to living a hazard-free lifestyle. Yeah. And we have the interpersonal or the social dimension. This means that we have, I'm sorry if somebody's knocking around, but they're doing some construction around here, so please be patient. This is the only problem with being remote. We have to contend with all the noises around us, okay? So basically what I want you to remember about this dimension is that you have to have good communication skills, okay? If we do not communicate how we feel, okay, if we do not communicate what we are thinking, then the person that we're trying to communicate with, really, they do not have the power of knowing what's inside your brain. So unless you verbalize it, don't expect people to understand where you're coming from. Don't think that because people have known you for a long time, they can read you and tell you what you're thinking. So for those of us that tend to be more listeners than actually people that actually speak a lot, and because of the way that we're trained in, for example, in the helping professions, we have excellent listening skills. Okay, but because we have excellent listening skills, we tend not to verbalize as much. But in order to be successful in this dimension, you have to communicate. So just don't think it, verbalize it. And at the beginning, it might not sound right, it might not come right, but you're honoring what the thought is inside of you, and you're actually respecting the person that you're giving the message to. So interpersonal relationships are very important in order to maintain a good emotional and physical state of being. Remember that. And how do you maintain and promote good interpersonal relationships is through communication. Okay. And this one I love the most. We humans are pack animals. We depend on one another to survive and live well. But we don't think of ourselves as pack animals. When somebody asks you for an example of a pack animal, what do we immediately think of? Wolves. Okay. Well, guess what? We humans are also pack animals. Okay. So remember that one. So this is my favorite, and this is the spiritual dimension. And what do we mean by spiritual dimension? Somebody take a guess.
I think it has to be related with your belief, with your values.
Okay. Good. What else?
Your family backgrounds, what is taking you on.
That for me, that's a very broad question, and it has multi answers, because even though that dimension is related to something that can be measured because it fits something, a spirit is way broader than that, and it will all depends on what you believe and how you feel in what you believe. So I don't have an answer for that. That's my 2 cents there, and I don't know how to answer that.
Well, that's good. That's why I put it like this, to see what everybody was going to answer. Okay. Anybody want to be brave enough to tackle this?
Yes, I just wanted to say that it's kind of this connection. There's something bigger than us, kind of a connection to it could be like a higher power, or perhaps even with nature, but it's something outside of us that connects us, I would say, and gives us a broader dimension than just the physical being.
Okay, very good. Anybody else? No? No more brave souls around?
Religious and existential, maybe.
Who was that? Who just said that, existential?
Mary.
Mary. Very good, Mary. What's your background, Mary?
Medical doctor.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, good. All right.
And,
So.
and there are a lot of brave souls. It's just there's no many answers. That's a problem.
No, that's the truth. This is the most difficult dimension, I want you to know. And it's the one that people have the hardest time grabbing the concept of, okay? Because when we have been ingrained for such a long period of time of thinking about spiritual, that has to do with religion, with organized religion, but it does not, okay? It goes beyond the concept of organized religion. It simply means asking yourself, what is the purpose and meaning of my life? Okay. So you can either ask the question, what is the purpose and meaning of my life? Or what is my mission and role in life? Okay. So, you know, when you see organizations actually putting into print what is their vision and their mission, okay, this is how they recognize the spiritual dimension of their organization. Okay. So this translates into many different levels. But if you're not clear about what is your purpose and meaning of your life, then how can you achieve health and go through the process of identifying activities that promote the wellness without knowing why you're here? Okay. So basically, what profession you choose a lot of times actually defines what is your purpose and meaning of your life. Okay. So for me, for example, had to do with assisting other people. So there are definitely two professions right away that do that. One is social work and the other one is psychology. Could have chosen medicine or nursing, but to me, they have a more of a concrete role in how you actually help folks. And I was looking more to being a facilitator of that mindfulness, of that knowing who am I. So my existential background, I always look at through whenever somebody is coming to therapy or asking for assistance and trying to figure out where their life is at. That's my forte, which is the basic existential question that a lot of people ask themselves. What am I doing here? Am I doing something meaningful? Is this what I was meant to be? Okay. And nobody can answer that for you except yourself. And sometimes as we grow older, for those of us that are older, we realize that sometimes our mission changes as to the different chapters in our life. So always be conscious about, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing something that I really like? Okay. So having this awareness allows you to develop feelings of compassion, forgiveness, and patience. And those are closely related to your emotional dimension, okay? So as you see, as we discuss these all dimensions kind of interplay with each other. A lot of times when you're dealing with one, it has an actual correlation with another one, okay? So what are some of the examples of how to achieve spiritual wellness? Well, meditation and mindfulness are two of the ones that immediately come to mind. And I think when I was asking for folks to give examples a couple of minutes ago, some of you already spoke about meditation and mindfulness, okay? And some people think that meditation and mindfulness are such difficult activities, but really, they're not, okay? But what you do need is some quiet time and a space where you can do it, okay? And when you're really good at it, you can actually meditate, even in a crowd, okay? But that requires a little bit more practice. But it does help you a lot of times to check. It's like a thermometer. It actually gives you a good reading on where you are, okay? Does anybody have any questions on this particular dimension? Okay. I wanted to be free to ask any questions at any given time. I don't like to wait until the end because the purpose of this is for us to share. Because, for example, the spiritual dimension might mean something to me, but it might mean something to somebody else. And this is what we're here for, to share our thoughts and our ideas.
Can I share a thought very quickly? My name is Angel Padran. I'm in Puerto Rico. When I think about spiritual dimension, I'm thinking the freedom that I have to choose how to build meaning and purpose. So the choice it's mine. When I decide to live in a certain way and make certain things and you know, so when I think spiritual, I think more the ability that I have to make the choice of creating purpose and meaning with freedom. I don't know if that means anything.
No, that is a very powerful statement that you just made, and you're so correct. What is your background, Angel?
Don't laugh. I'm in philosophy.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh. That's great. Okay, very much. Now I understand why you study philosophy. Yes, very much so. But you were right on, right on the money.
I love it. I think I study philosophy to be able to laugh, actually.
Well, that's good. That's good. But you're excellent. That contribution was crucial there. Anybody else want to venture? Hey,
I want
Angel.
to ask a question. Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry. This is Anit Rentis. I think that somebody else wants to talk, right? This is Anit Rentis. I just have a quick question. I know a lot of people that do not meditate, but they do pray. Would that be considered part of a spiritual dimension instead of meditating, praying?
Yes, yes, okay.
Okay.
Prayer is a powerful communication tool. You can use it to develop yourself spiritually. You could use it to commune with a higher being, okay? You can use it to commune with nature. So how you use prayer depends upon what your spiritual beliefs are, okay? So, but it is extremely powerful and very healthy for yourself if you can use it, okay? Yes, any other question? No? Okay, so let's continue on. And we have the intellectual dimension, and it's the one that we are actually using all the time because as educators, we continuously not only working this dimension, but using it to instruct others. So we're actually helping folks or assisting folks to develop in this dimension. Okay, so this means that you have some critical thinking, that you are curious about learning, and that you're always learning new things. So this dimension is critical to help a person grow in school and do better at work, and actually prevents the onset of disease. So it has been shown that people who regularly learn new things and challenge their mind can stave off many mental health problems. I don't know if there was, for a time there was a lot of literature about people doing crossword puzzles and reading a lot to prevent illnesses like Alzheimer's or anything that has to do with the dementia process. So keeping yourself on a learning mode is actually very healthy for you. And those of us that are in the education field even have a higher responsibility, because not only are we doing this for us to learn, because when we're actually educating, we're actually learning ourselves, because we have to learn the material before we actually provide it for others, but we're actually then continuously making an impact on that intellectual dimension for their students. Everybody clear on that? Okay. Then I usually put these two together because people closely associate those two dimensions in their mind all the time. Okay, and financial wellness means living within our means. And that's something that a lot of people have difficulty with, because a lot of us have bought into that American culture of keeping up with the Joneses, and if your neighbor has the latest model of BMW or Mercedes, you want the latest model of the BMW or Mercedes, and that's not what financial wellness is all about. Financial wellness is living within your means, and if you learn to do that, you will find out that when you make $50,000 a year, or $20,000 a year, or over $100,000 a year, a lot of people have a tendency of spending and spending and spending. Well, that does not provide you with a good financial wellness, because you're trying then to keep up with others, or trying to keep up with the marketing approaches that we're continuously being inundated with on the TV, on the radio, and the media. Okay. Then the other part is the occupational wellness. And that means truly liking what you do. The saddest thing to do is to deal with people that truly do not like what they do for a living, because it's like denying yourself all the time. So there is no wellness. There is not a good possibility that you have good, healthy outcomes if you're truly doing every day something that you do not like. Okay. So what we are trying to strive with this dimension is to have a balance between our work and our life. If we work a certain number of hours a day, we want to ensure that we rest as many hours a day. Okay. So, and this is something that most professionals, most of us that educate have a lot of difficulty with. Okay. We tend to, some of us be workaholics, and some of us tend to work more than we do. But we have to remind ourselves that, yeah, that's good for a week, 2 weeks if you have to get, projects out of the way, but eventually it does catch up with you. So optimum is that there is a balance between your work and your fun. Okay. This also is a concept that applies to students and how they do the schoolwork. Students, a lot of our students have to balance not only schoolwork and work life, but they also have to balance family life. So we are dealing with a difficult population because our population tends to be older and trying to do 2 or 3 things at the same time. This also encompasses that you must know what the stressors of life are, and that you should be navigating those stressors of life and build yourself some human support systems so that they can, you can have support to deal with all these stressors that are continuously bombarding us right now. Okay. COVID-19 did not help us in these occupational dimensions or financial dimensions. It really had a very negative impact on the stressor of life, because anything that has to do with situations that actually impact our health, physical and our emotional, because a lot of people then lost their jobs because of this experience. And we're now just starting to get out of it. So we have been working with a situation in which actually was working against our occupational and financial health apart from our physical health, and we had no control of it. Okay, because we did not have control over COVID. So this is something that we have when we're in the classroom, have to be very conscious that we are dealing with students who've had a very difficult time with all this. And my caveat on this is that for a time being while I was teaching, I had to take the first half hour just to feel and let people express how their week had been dealing with all these other facets. So don't feel bad if you have to take time from your school sessions to deal with your students in the classroom over what they've had to experience. Sometimes you might think, I don't have the time, I have such much material to cover, but in the long run, it pays off. It pays off to give the student that time in which they can communicate how they have felt about this, navigating through this COVID. Okay. Any questions on this? No? Okay, let's move on. So, how do these dimensions interact? Well, these dimensions, like I've said before, are not standalone. They may and do affect each other. For example, let us say you're not doing emotionally well. Okay, if you are feeling down, then you may not be excited about your job having an impact on which dimension of wellness. If you're feeling down, then you might not be excited about your job having an impact on which dimension. Think of all these dimensions that we've mentioned, which are 8 of them. Which one would you best describe? There might just not be one, might be more than one. Okay, think. If you're feeling down, then you may not be excited about your job having an impact on what wellness?
Emotional.
Excuse me?
Emotional.
Very good, yes.
Emotional.
Yes. Anything else?
It could have an impact on the last one that we talked about, the
Occupational?
occupational.
Very good, excellent, very good. So you may go out on a buying binge, decreasing what dimension?
Financial.
Very good, yes. So when you are sad, you really do not feel like exercising or learning new things. So what dimensions are we talking about that? We're talking here about 2 different ones. When you're sad, you really do not feel like exercising or learning new things. So which dimensions are we talking about?
Physical and intellectual. Physical and intellectual.
Excellent. Very, very good. Yes. You're all experts already here. So basically, dealing with these dimensions has a big domino effect. Okay. And what we need to do in order to be able to take the steps to reach the optimum health is really be very proactive. And you need to take some steps in order to help yourself. And how do we do that? By communicating. We need to be talking to our family, our friends, other professionals. Okay. This has to do continuously with communicating and building your own support system. Okay. Why? Because talking can help counter not only the negative emotional problems and the domino effects, but it will also help build stronger spiritual and interpersonal wellness at the same time. Okay. Now, here are some examples of healthy activities. Based on the material just presented, which dimension do you think is impacted by the activity? Okay. Take a guess. When you do regular exercise, which dimension are you impacting?
Health, the physical one.
Yes, very good. Excellent. By the way, as we go down this list, you might impact not only one dimension, but you might impact a couple of dimensions. So feel free to comment. I told you before, there's no wrong answer here. It's the answer is what you believe is the answer, okay? So connecting with peers.
Interpersonal or social dimension.
Very good, yes, very good. Okay, meditation.
Spiritual. Spiritual.
Aha, very good. Balanced diet.
Physical.
Physical, very good. Appropriate sleep.
Physical.
Emotional also.
Yes,
Mental.
very good, very good. Who said the inappropriate sleep, physical and emotional, was right on the money. Very good. Yes, yes, yes. How about connecting with family?
Emotional.
And social also.
Social and
Both.
emotional, yeah.
Okay, social and emotional, very good. How about mindfulness?
Spiritual.
Yes. And drinking enough water?
Physical.
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 Yes, 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 yes. See, you can teach this. Next time you have a class, teach your students about this. You'll be happy about it. So let's talk about a concept that is closely associated with achieving and doing activities of wellness. That is the locus of control. Has anybody heard of this terminology before, locus of control?
No.
Okay. So locus of control basically means is when a person takes responsibility for what happens to them. Okay. Locus means source or place of something. So there are two specific forms of locus of control, and they're so important that it actually shapes how you perform throughout the rest of your life. Okay. Some people believe in an external locus of control, and other people believe in an internal locus of control. Those people that believe in the external locus of control understand that their outcome of their life events, success and failures are determined by factors out of their control. Okay. So basically, when I look at this, this is where victims, or the terminology of feeling like a victim, out of, because you feel that you have no power. Okay, the power belongs to those external factors, which could be people, it could be events, but it's not there, it's not yours. Okay, those people that have an internal locus of control or believe in the internal locus of control believe that they're in control of their destiny, of their life. They're in control of their, not only their successes but also their failures. In other words, you know that you have the power to choose. When you internalize that you have the ability to choose whether, it doesn't matter whether the choice is right or wrong in front of others, but if you believe you have the right to choose, okay, then you own up to it. And the power is yours. You don't give it up. Okay, so this is an important terminology, an important concept that impacts everything that you do. So that's why it's extremely important that you know that in the wellness and the search for that end goal, how you focus, what you believe, whether you have the power to choose or you believe that you are the victim of circumstances, has a lot to do whether you reach that goal or not. Okay. Is everybody clear on these two terms? Does anybody have any questions on this?
Yes. Can be a combination between that two? Like, you know that you have a power for choose and internal control, but also there is something outside that you don't control. Can you have a combination of both of them?
Yes, you can have a combination of both of them. For example, the COVID-19 is a good example.
Yeah.
Well, we did not have a control of COVID-19, okay? But I do have control of how I react to COVID-19.
And how I behave about that.
How exactly, what behave, am I choosing to get vaccinated or not vaccinated because of beliefs? That choice is mine. I don't give that up, okay?
So that's mean you're still in, even if it's an external causes, you're still internal control all the time.
Exactly. Very good. Glad for the comment and the question, okay? Now, I want you to take a piece of paper and let's begin a list of some things you can do to improve your health, okay? So I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to write. So give yourself 5 minutes to write personally some things you can do to improve your health. Doesn't have to be long. Some people just write 1 or 2, okay? So it is right now 9:53. So at 9:58, I'm gonna start asking you to volunteer some of these things that you can do. Okay. If you don't want to write anything down, fine, don't write anything down. Take those 5 minutes and take a breather. Get up, stretch your legs, stretch your arms, whatever you have. You got 5 minutes.
Mrs. Mauret, can you put a slide for the dimensions again? The A ones?
Sure, hold on.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm getting there, hold on. Yes.
Okay,
There they
thank
are.
you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Whoops, there it goes again. Ready, porque se cambió, wait, hold on. Where is it?
At the beginning. No,
Oh, forget
it's
it.
going back, it's going forward.
Yes, I'm getting there. There.
That one, okay.
Okay, it's 9:58. I'm going back to the slide that I was in. Hold on if I can find it. I hope you had fun writing. Okay, so who is the first brave soul who's going to give us an example of what they think they need to do in order to improve their health?
I can do it.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Miriam. Yes.
Okay. In my case, for example, I definitely need to eat healthier and do more exercise. And all this is because I love to help others, and everybody is before me. So I help others and then I forget about myself. So I'm the last one. And that is not healthy or balanced.
Excellent. Very happy. Oh, you have
You
a lot
know,
of, you have a lot of insight. Go ahead.
in my case, when I was a kid, right? And when I say a kid, it was up to when I was 27 years. It was the last time I practiced a sport. I did martial arts like for 16 years of my life. And even though that I do not practice recently, or I just walk and do some 5Ks once in a while, I do believe I have to get in the habit to do those katas again. And because first, I don't know how people say that they do martial arts movements meditating, because meditating for me is something that is static. But definitely it keeps you focused, because those are a series of movements and sequence that you have to do to accomplish a certain style. I should get in that habit again. I should.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I
would like to add another dimension to the topic, the cultural dimension.
Very good.
And I noticed that the majority of us, I'm sure, we wrote down that we wanted to improve our diet. Culturally, we've grown up eating lechon asado, the chuleta frita, and sometimes it's very difficult, and it's difficult for us to distinguish, to think that we're not eating healthy. I've been eating this all my life. What can be bad about it? I'm still going, so to speak. So I think that that element of culture, we need to think about it and reflect on the fact that it may not be all that healthier. I'm sure the majority of us, especially academians, we tend to be more work sitting down in front of a computer, reading or writing, and we lack that physical activity. And like as the last person spoke, I was a runner for many years, for over 30 years, and now I run to the restroom and back, and but that affects a part that I consider very important, is my emotional and mental well-being, because I think, well, why am I not doing this any longer? And I talk into my, well, because you have a lot more years of experience now, so look for something else to do, kind of like what the gentleman shared, walk, and that's good. Don't I avoid beating myself up with you're not running anymore, you're not getting enough exercise. When was the last time you went to the gym, George? And then I go, well, there's a calendar there somewhere around there that still may be a survival of the trash can. But the point is that sometimes when we try to fix something, we need to be careful that we're not damaging something else or hurting ourselves. And some of us have a positive concept of ourselves. We may not be in a really good place, but we that well-being of thinking of myself, well, you put on a couple of pounds, but you look doggone good.
Very good.
Pacheco, I wanted to add, regardless of whatever everyone understand that they need for their well-being, every time I think about this and reflect about this is an ongoing process. We never stop reflecting what we need and how do we put it in practice, because it's very challenging for everyone in so many different ways, right? But these three things came to my mind: setting priorities, setting boundaries, and then setting a plan.
Excellent.
And I think this is like, I'm like, okay, here I am writing this again over and over again, right? But it's being truth to ourselves and trying to put ourselves as a priority, as ugly as that might sound. Because if we're not okay, we're not going to be able to take care of others. And we're in these professions because we care about others. And we do that in a daily basis, not only with our students, but coworkers, with our family members and friends. But it's so hard to learn how to do these things for ourselves. So, I mean, I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, here we go. They're there.
But I would like to add something that for me has worked tremendously, right? And I wish I can leave this to you guys as somebody that cannot stay put. Okay. I have hate all my life being in one place. I read once that you can be in one place, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay put. Okay, so I'm hectic all the time. And I do face the same thing all of you are facing. I'm aging, right? I'm 57 right now. And I used to have 20, only 30 years ago. And what I have done and what I have found interesting is that I always have had a child approach to whatever I'm going to start to do. What is this child approach? Well, if everybody says that I have to walk at least 20 minutes to be healthy, I walk 10 because the other 10 is coming back, right? So I'm good.
All right.
The other thing is that find a new hobby. Hobbies are not a lifetime practice. They might be, but they're not. Why? Because like the pandemic, for example, I like to read, but there was so much time alone and so many hours alone that I needed to do something else. So I started doing 3D printing. Did I know what was 3D printing? No. And did I know what I was gonna get involved? No, I just did it. And then I found a fascinating world. During the pandemic, I played tennis and my shoulder got off. And I had a 14-week rest in the pandemic. So I couldn't do nothing because I was resting. So I was a Boy Scout when I was a kid and I learned to do knots. Then I found a webpage to do bracelets with paracord. Now I do paracord bracelets and I have my webpage, I have my Instagram and all that kind of stuff. The thing behind this is that the child approach is just do things. Don't think what is going to happen. Just do them. That will keep you busy. That will keep you running. And in the meantime, just walk 10 minutes. The other 10 minutes you're coming back. So no harm done there. And that's how I keep a little bit busy.
Very good. Thank you for sharing with that. Yes. Anybody else? Come on, guys. I had you write for 5 minutes. I want to hear from everybody else. By the way, those people that are writing on the chat, thank you very much. Okay. I really appreciate that you're taking the time to write and share with the rest of us.
I'm gonna Angel Pagan again. I'm gonna share again a little bit. 3 things that I thought about was eat well. I basically picked up my father's diet, which he was a Jíbaro from Ciales. And since we were kids, he wanted to teach us to eat natural stuff, you know, without it being cool or whatever, just natural stuff. It was roots, it was yautía, ñame, malanga, all these things. The other thing in my case, but again, you know, we're all different. But in my case, I like to stop and stop. That's it. Sometimes I just stop. I look at the backyard, for example, and I just look at leaves or the ground and I don't know how. I don't know how to meditate or anything. I just stop, and it helps me clear my head. I think something like that. And then the other thing that I always want to make sure that I'm doing is I want to take action. I want to take action toward the things that I want to accomplish, and I want to be realistic about it. I really want to know what I really need to do. I don't like to, I don't know what to call it, entertain myself with fictitious things. I like to see what is truth and reality and all these things. So I really want to know what is there for what it is, and then take real action toward it. Changing a little bit, you know, at least my little bit, you know. So I think that's important for me, and it makes me feel that I'm doing something. I know that at the end of this thing, we all die. So I want to make sure that I live. I want to make sure that I live. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing. Those are beautiful words. Yes, thank you. Anybody else want to share with us? Well, I want you to remember from all these things that you've done and what some people don't like to share, and it becomes a very private moment. But savor the moment. Savor these couple minutes that you took out to write something down. How often do you do that? How often do you take a couple of minutes and say, well, let me think of something that I can do to improve my health? So remember what I want you to do, and the reason why we use this exercise just at the end of explaining to you what the internal locus of control is, then your life is within your control. Think of it that way. the fact that you might have to take a couple minutes and that you decided to take a couple minutes to do something, a couple minutes to stop, maybe to look at a beautiful rose, maybe to look at a beautiful color, that is a moment that adds years to your life. Okay. So remember that your actions determine the outcome of your life. Very simple. Actions determine the outcomes of your life.
I would like to say something because this workshop reminds me the Stoicism theory that it was applied by the empire, the Roman Empire, around 2,000 years ago. And Marco Aurelio, the emperor, he was, I remember when he was trying to let all people around them to know that there are some things in life that we cannot control. Events happen daily in our life. For example, I had an accident like a few days ago. I couldn't control it, you see? But the way that we act in this situation that we cannot control is that what make us the person that we are every day. You see, the way that we accept situations that we cannot control and act in with a positive mind, you know, about this situation is what improve our emotional intelligence in this case. And I always like this term emotional intelligence because in my opinion, to have a really set of mind with emotional intelligence allowed us to face things in life that we cannot control with a positive mind, you see? And that is kind of a release for a human being. For example, I can control to love someone, but I cannot control that that person can love me back me. It is the hero right, for example, or events that happen in our daily life. The way that we act facing those things that we cannot control, I believe is what improve ourselves, you know, like with a better human set of mind, in my opinion, you see. Taking into consideration the Stoicism theory, that is one of the theories that I like the most about all theories, you know, that can help us to control, to think positive in the things that we cannot control in life.
Thank you very much, Manuel. I appreciate your input. For those of you, Manuel is part of the academic team at Tampa Bay campus. So I get the pleasure of conversing with him frequently. So I know what his thinking is, but thank you so much because you just put into words a lot of the thoughts that I was trying to share with the rest of our colleagues. So let's move on. Anybody else want to share before I move on? No? Take this opportunity. Remember, we're learning from each other. You can't just rely on me.
Sorry, excuse me, I wanted to say something. That I wrote all of those things that we always do, kind of like the New Year's resolutions. You know, we're going to have to incorporate more physical activity. I have to take time to have more quiet time for myself to do that. I think we're all aware of it, but we have to actually make it happen. And some things that I find is I kind of have to even schedule it in my schedule, because if not, it's if I just say, well, when I get a chance or whatever, it won't happen. And then kind of making a reference to what the gentleman said before, the Stoic kind of, when I face a problem, one thing that helps me is at least, right, instead of focusing on is it good, is it better, what do I have to do? What are the steps that I have to do? Now I have to do this, I have to do that. And that kind of gets me off of that idea that, oh my gosh, this is so terrible. This is okay, what do I have to do? I have to do this first, then I have to do this. And that kind of like brings down my anxiety level to help me deal with the situation. That's how I cope with it. So.
Very good. Thank you, because you've just introduced the next part of what I was going to talk about. See, and we didn't even plan it. All right. So the world, the universe is helping us on with this topic. Obviously, we all need it. Okay. So creating a behavior management plan is what we, in the lingo of social work and psychology, explain what we need to do in order to make a positive health related change in our life. Okay. So we have to explore the steps to create a plan of action to achieve behavioral changes, including monitoring and recording our activities, identifying patterns, setting goals, creating a plan, and making contacts. So what do we mean by a plan of action? Well, think of the world of business first. And even though we do work in a university, the tendency nowadays is that to look at everything, universities, hospitals, schools, as businesses, because we live in a business-driven economy. So everything colors that. So in the world of business, starting a company, a person may set out to form a business plan. This is usually quite a lengthy document. It details all kinds of goals, competitors, potential problems and solutions, what the financial rewards of the business will be, what the financial downs might be. This same type of idea, a plan, and many of its parts can be applied to forming a personal plan of behavioral management. Okay, your own personal plan of what it is that you need to do in order to achieve that optimal health. Except it doesn't have to be as long or as boring as a business plan, because it's something that actually has to do with you and with your own personal goal. So the next step here and what I'm doing for you is trying to prepare you to set an outline of what steps you need to make a positive change in your life. Okay, so the first thing that you do is step one, which is you monitor and you record. Well, what does that mean? You first take out a journal that is specific to your task. Okay, if you don't like writing things down, then form a digital journal. Put it in your computer. Okay, let's pretend that your goal is to eat healthier and to lose weight. Okay, that's the simple one. We all want to do that. So in this journal, you should write down specifics as to what your daily activities are going to be to impact the reduction of weight and the exercise for about a period of 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, you're going to write down, for example, the name of the activity or task that you want to perform. Okay, remember, first one, you write down the name or the activity to the task you want to perform. It could be riding a bike. Somebody used that as an expression. Or it could be you're going to take some time to meditate. Okay, whatever you choose. And then you're going to jot down what exactly you are doing in that activity. Okay, what exactly is it that you want to do when you're doing that activity? The time in which you are performing this activity, the time of the day, where you did it, and how you felt at that time. Okay, what was your feeling at that time while you were conducting this activity? For instance, you can write down the fact that you had breakfast at 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay, that it was a sandwich, that you ate it in your kitchen, or that you waited until you got to the university to eat it. What your mind was stressing about when you were eating that. Was your mind stressing, or was your mind blank? Sometimes we wouldn't even realize we're eating. Okay, it becomes like something automatic. Okay, and it shouldn't be. It should be a process of you're experiencing some pleasure in what you're eating, so that you are actually nourishing your mind and your body at the same time. So you can be more specific. You can write down, for example, how many calories does a sandwich have? Okay, did somebody influenced your choice of activity? Somebody influenced the choice of sandwich you chose to make for that breakfast. The more detailed, the better it is for you to analyze and for you to track. Okay, so the step two is to analyze and identify, okay? After you have completed collecting your data about your daily habit or the habit that you want to improve, it's time to figure out to see if you have any particular patterns that are emerging about identifying that. For example, when are you consuming the most calories? Is it in the morning when you're having that sandwich? You might not eat again until nighttime because you forget to eat in the middle of the day. Okay. A lot of that happens when people get to work, they forget. When is it that I have a lunch break? Do I have a lunch break? Do I choose to have one? Do I not choose to have one? Was it right before I had to go teach a class? Before, was it after I taught a class? Whatever it is, you write it down, you analyze it, and you identify. Okay, it is important that you analyze what you ate, when you ate it, why you ate it, and how you felt when you ate it. Identifying what triggered the event of eating is as important as the event itself when we're talking about modifying a behavior. Now we're going to step number 3, which is setting your goals. So how do we set goals? For those of us that are in the helping professions, we've heard this, creating SMART goals. Okay, so this is something that is just a refresher course for those of us that are in social work psychology, okay, because we use them all the time. But once you have identified that potential pattern that you want to modify, or a healthy or an unhealthy choice that you want to change, you do it in order to improve your well-being, but you need it by choosing what we call our SMART goals. For example, if you have arthritis in both knees and you want to lose weight, then you're telling yourself that your goal is not, if you're telling yourself that your goal is to be running 10 miles in 30 minutes, well, that's not a very smart goal because you have arthritis in both knees. So that's what meaning SMART is. Okay, so if you follow the SMART anachronism, which means you have to pick a goal that is, S means be specific, okay? Be particular about what goal you are trying to attain. A vague goal could say something like, I'm going to eat more vegetables. A more specific goal could say, I'm going to eat carrots, tomatoes, broccoli, 1 cup of each every day. Okay. Or you might choose a very particular one. Some people just love to eat broccoli and they don't want to eat carrots. Okay. If you're in a keto diet, I don't think you're going to want to eat many carrots, but you are going to want to eat broccoli. Okay. So I use keto because that's what's in fashion right now, and it's everybody wants to do that one. The other part of it, you want to make sure that your goal is measurable. Okay. So you make sure that you quantify your goal and that you can easily track it. For example, I will walk 1 mile every day for a week. So that's what it means, measurable. You can measure it, well, because it doesn't just say, I want to walk. I want to be specific. I want to walk 1 mile. Okay. The other one is that your goal has to be attainable. What does attainable mean? Can I reach it? Okay. So you need to make sure that it is a goal that is within your physical capabilities. Can I do this goal? Okay. The other one starts, for example, instead of running the 30 miles, you might choose to do your goal of getting into and doing it in a swimming pool because water helps. When you have situations like arthritis and you want to do exercises, it might be much better to do your exercises instead of swimming pool because the water helps you. There's less resistance, so it helps you and it is not as painful. Okay. Now, the other part has to be with attainable. Can we reach it? So, and we already said that it has to be something that we can be easily attainable or easily getting to. Now, the other one is for realistic. R is for realistic. Be very careful how you set your expectations. If you cannot run or walk just fine, I think your approach has to be your ultimate goal. Just make sure that it is a realistic goal, that if you're setting it up as a mile that you can walk, make sure that you are capably fit of walking that mile. Okay? Don't set yourself something that you cannot reach. The other one is a time frame. Make sure that you give yourself enough time to reach your goal. Some people, for example, yes, want to walk the half an hour, or is it more realistic and more attainable for you to say, not to say I'm going to walk a mile, but say I'm going to walk for 30 minutes? Like the gentleman just shared with us, well, you walk 15 minutes and then on the way back is the other 15 minutes. So that's something that is on a time frame that it is more easily reachable than saying I want to walk a mile, because it might take you longer to walk the mile than just 30 minutes. Okay. I hope I didn't confuse you and that you got this correct. Take notes. You can always ask me questions, or if there's anything that you don't understand about this, I will provide you with my email and then you can answer me. The other part is the step 4 is your plan of action. Once you have kept your journal, you have identified your problem, you have set your SMART goals, it's time to devise a plan of action to meet those goals. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is get what it is that you need. If you're going to walk or if you're going to run, do you have running shoes? Do you have walking shoes? If you're going to swim in the pool, do you have the appropriate swimming gear? Do you need to do this at home, or do you need to do this in a local community health group to be that support that you need? So whatever it is, you go out there and you get it, okay? Because doing that action of going out and getting the supplies that you think that you need to reach your goal, actually your half of your issue has been resolved. Okay, which is I'm taking the steps to do something about this. Okay, I'm getting what I need to do to reach my goal. The longer that you wait, the more likely you are to put off your goal. Okay, so if you don't have the appropriate running shoes and you've decided that you want to run a mile each day or you want to walk a mile each day, go get your shoes. Okay, so it has a little impact on your financial dimension, but it's a good impact because you're working towards the goal. Okay, so you might also need to modify your environment to help your goals. If you notice that you eat more when you go out with people, then try eating at home. Don't go out as often to restaurants. Eat at home where you might have some control over portions. And if you're around people who smoke, kindly ask them not to smoke around you. Okay. Your management plan should also consider the things that may not hurt you directly, but may do so indirectly. For example, go back to step 1. Did you write down how often you are sitting and watching TV? Sitting and watching TV doesn't do much for your health. Maybe you can watch TV while you are on the treadmill instead. I know a lot of people that do that, love to watch TV while they're doing the treadmill, and it works for them. To me, I tried it, but I can't get myself coordinated. So I usually get so involved that I forget that I'm walking the treadmill. And then I realize, oops, I'm ready to fall. Wait a minute. But it's an individual choice. Okay. Walking on the treadmill all by yourself may be a little boring and lonely. So it's important that you plan it. If it involves other people, that's why some people, rather than using the treadmill at home, like to go to the gym because they like that interaction with other people. They like to be around other people. And it can also motivate you. It might save as a motivator for you. Okay. And just like in the business plan, it's important that potential problems are identified early on. It's impossible to get much done for your health if you're cramming, for example, if you're in school. Some of us taught while we were trying to get a doctorate degree. So be realistic. Okay. and briefly minimize the amount of time you spend on daily exercises while studying, but slowly build back up afterwards. Because sometimes when we're in school and we're working at the same time, you might not be able to spend the 45 minutes on the activity that you're trying to do, but you might be able to spend then the 30 minutes. So be realistic. So you're constantly checking yourself as to whether what I want to do is something that I can do. Finally, it's important to reward yourself for all of this. But as with everything else, plan it out, write it down, write down the rewards you want to give yourself after achieving a certain goal. Give yourself a present. I do that all the time. My presents usually consist of going out and buying a pair of shoes because that's a good motivator for me. All right, so you have to identify what is the kind of present that's going to make an impact for you. That present that you know you really like, okay? So, and that you really want to reward the effort. Okay. Maybe you allow yourself to go bowling with friends or completing after you complete a week of your goals or something like that. Some activity that might not just be individual, but if you are one of those people that love to share with others, you know, maybe going to the movies with friends or going bowling, going for a shopping expedition with your friends, whatever it is. Something that will motivate you to continue working on that goal, okay? And then the last step in your behavior management plan is to make contacts. Well, what does make contact mean? It doesn't mean to make contacts with aliens out of space, okay? But to, like in business, network with people in order to get what you want. Get someone, anyone, that will hold you to your word. Detail for them what your goal is. Share that goal that you're trying to do with that person or with that group of people. And then do it after you start and as you progress. Okay. Having a person who really cares about you and about your goal will stop you, and a person who will stop you from procrastinating is very important. Okay. So basically, what I want you to remember about this step is that you can't do this by yourself. Back to the concept of human beings are part of a pack and that we need that feedback from others. Be conscious of that, okay? And it's all right. It's all right to need other people, okay? Yes, this society wants us, it keeps us pushing us to be independent. But you know what? Yes, be independent, but mindful that I'm independent, but I need others, okay? So, to summarize, I hope this lesson gave you a good idea how to make positive behavioral changes to complete your goals, to get you into that path of wellness activities, to get you to your optimal health, okay? So remember, whichever goals you set, that they're SMART goals. Remember what SMART stands for: specific, measurable, attainable, and within a very good time frame, okay? So I really, truly hope that this has been something of a learning experience for you. I love this topic. It keeps me thinking that I want to continue with my goals. See, I've lost 10 pounds within the last months. That was a big deal for me. So I want to now go on to making myself a more realistic goal. 10 pounds is not realistic for me at this point, but maybe 5 is. So I'm working on trying to reach the other 5 pounds. So I invite you to do the same thing. Make yourself something that is realistic, that you can attain, that you can feel good about yourself when you achieve it, so that then it has that effect of wanting you and to go on even further. Okay, so if you have any, or if you feel that you need any assistance in trying to develop a behavior management plan that is tailored for you, please, you can contact me. There is my email, pachecol1@uagm.edu. So I'm much happy and very happy to be of assistance to any of you that want to do this. But the majority of you are probably already experts in this by the way of the feedback you've been giving me, and I'm reading it. We all do this, whether we are conscious of it or not, okay? Do we have any questions?
Well, I just, when you said the planning to losing weight and stuff like that,
Yeah.
when you're a little bit overweight, like I was in my case, because I lost 45 pounds, right? But that was a tremendous endeavor,
Yes.
So, and I'm still like 30 pounds away, but there was something that kept me alive and keep doing it. And it's the childish approach that I have. It's 1 pound at a time. It's 1 pound at a time. So if I lose 1 pound, I celebrate that 1 pound. Probably I'm not going to be the big hamburger, but at least I might drink something nice. But it's just 1 pound at a time. And that keeps you alive.
Yes, that is true. I'm glad you used that example. I'm very happy about that. So before we go away and I take any more questions, please, if you did not do so, write your name in the chat and the campus that you're from, okay, so that we can kind of keep a little tab. So anybody else has any questions, any point that they would like to clarify, anything else that they would like to share with the group?
I just would like to thank you very much, because although you, as you said, well, we have a notion of what is health and what is wellness and what we can do, in effect, a notion of it. But it's always helpful to take this time in particular to reflect and revisit the concepts and what we're doing or what we're not doing.
Exactly.
So I want to thank you very much, Dr. Pacheco.
Oh,
Always, it's a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Suarez. I really, I miss you. So I miss you a lot. Okay, I miss our talks. But thank you very much for sharing with us.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. The same to you. And really, it's been an honor and a pleasure to be able to talk to all of you today. I hope this will not be the last time I share with you and that you share with me. So please remember, I'm based out of the Tampa Bay campus. If you're ever around Tampa and want to visit, please drop by. And I wish you all the best. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And thank you for the sacrifice of giving up a couple of hours of your Saturday. God bless you all. Take care.
Thank you so much. It was excellent. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very appreciated.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. Pacheco.
Thank you, Dr. Carrasquillo. Oh, before we go away, I wanna thank Dr. Carrasquillo because it was her idea to do the topic of wellness. So, and I went wellness. I said, wow, but she was right. She's always good when it comes to what's needed for this, for our continued growth here in the profession. Thank you, Doctor.
I just want to say thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
I think I've learned a lot. I think it's been more than impactful, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you. The same to you.
Thank you.
Gracias, doctora. Un buen uso del tiempo, sí, gracias.
A sus órdenes.
Thank you, doctor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciated your point of view during this morning, and I recall my statistics and process improvement courses. So
thank you.
That's my field. My initial field was microbiology, but later on I was in systems, and I'm very interested in data science. So I am very, very close to that type of process improvement philosophy. So very appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for your contributions. You were right on the button.
Was excellent. Even we know that we have the 8 dimensions.
Yes.
We don't put together until just somebody mentioned to us.
Yes.
So even I've been working in intellectual, occupational, financial. We try to forget the emotional, the social,
Exactly.
Well, and I think as we work better in that one, the other ones come.
That is true.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Yes.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I'm going to wait until everybody leaves, so.
Thank you, doctor. I thought it was going to be longer, but it was good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Take care. Espérese, doctora. No encuentro un mute este ahora. De boca arriba. ¿Dónde está su nombre?